Now let's continue on this special information segment as we continue to provide the latest up-to-date information on the incident that occurred in northwestern Iran. We are now going to be joined by Ermelinda Malcotte, international analyst, to provide other aspects and other context on the current situation. Hello, Ermelinda. Welcome to our programming. What can you tell us what is known so far?
There's a lot of uncertainty, and this is the problem of commenting at that moment. We don't know, but what we can know is the impact that would have eventually. We don't know if he's safe, if the president is safe, but the impact, if he's not, will be very great, because there is two options. The first option is that there is an accident and nobody is responsible except for the climate, but the other option is that someone tried to kill him, and the problem is that even if we can know the truth, there will be people that won't accept it. So the consequences at the continental, at the regional level will be very huge, because we are in a war context. Iran doesn't want to go at war, and Israel is pushing for war, but Iran has also made the proof that if the country enters into the war, it will be very devastating for Israel. So there's a lot of uncertainty. We know that Israel is pushing for a war, in the sense that they are pushing for United States to enter into the war, and so it's very difficult to know if someone is responsible, and even if nobody is responsible, it's difficult to know if people will believe it. So if he dies, the consequences might be very, very important. If he does not die, Iran would be able to manage the narrative and to speak. But if not, it will be really difficult, and all the diplomatic capacities of Iran will be needed to canalize the forces in the region.
Ermelinda, we were just coming from, the president was coming from an important event with the Azerbaijani counterpart on the joint inauguration of a joint dam that they built. As you were saying, this is a very uncertain time in a very war context in the region. But how can we expect this to impact the region, especially in the political landscape that is conforming as Iran and Azerbaijan were going closer together? We also have Turkey. How can, in your opinion, how can all this unfold in the future?
Well, what is certain is that Iran has been for several years opening a lot of diplomatic canals with other countries in the region, and even in countries that were considered as enemies, for example, Saudi Arabia and United Emirates, etc. So Iran has been doing a great diplomatic work and is able to speak to everybody in the region except for Israel, but because they don't want to, they just are considering that the Zionist entity is to be destroyed. So they have been having a lot of diplomatic relations with the country, with the other countries in the region, and they have been constructing great relations with Central Asia, especially because they have that alliance with Russia. It's not an alliance, but a really great connection with Russia, and almost an alliance with China. So all the Central Asia is very connected to Iran, to Russia, and to China, and that makes a very strong those three countries are strongly correlated one to the other, and so it really is a force for them in the region. Whatever happens to Iran will engage Russia and China on some point. So the country knows that they can count on them, and also they know that Iran know that it can count on their diplomatic relations with all the region that has been growing later on later times.
As you were saying, Iran has been carrying out a strong diplomatic operation, a mission to open contact with all the other nations that before they didn't. Do you believe that if the worst is to come, all these nations will tip the balance to bring them closer to Iran against the foreign powers that might be responsible behind if the worst comes to pass?
It depends from one country to another. For example, if you take the example of Turkey, they always have been playing a very strange game. They're always playing the interest of the country or of the president of the country, Erdogan. So every country will have its own policy. Saudi Arabia también is playing a little bit on the side of Iran and a little bit on the side of United States. For example, it's at stake for the moment that they might be receiving nuclear facilities and technologies from the United States. So they will negotiate, and every country will have its own negotiation. But what is sure is that what is being constructed by Russia, China, and Iran in the region, the new BRICS that have been adding all that petrol and gas producer into the BRICS, those are very strong relations, and United States is losing a lot of power, a lot of diplomatic power. There are also the fact that the region is making commerce in not only in dollar but also in local currencies. So the United States is losing a lot of power, and who wants to ally with a loser? So they will make they will push, and they still have a lot of power, but they are losing it for the multipolar forces. So the alliance will be one. Each country will make its own recipe, I think, but they won't give the back to Iran. They will discuss with Iran, which was not the case 10 years ago.
Finally, zooming out of the region one moment, how do you think this could impact, for example, Western countries in the European and in America?
The impact for the Western countries, first of all, we don't know if they're implied in the accident, so I hope they're not, but they might be, because United States is always been doing dirty jobs everywhere in the world. So it's obviously it's a possibility that they are involved, and if it's the case, and even if it's not the case, everybody will think that they are guilty of doing something. So I think, for example, if you take Iraq, we can see that the United States bases will be attacked more and more. I'm pretty sure that in Yemen, it will strengthen the determination of the Yemeni people to liberate themselves from Occident and from the Zionist entity. I think that it will reinforce the anti-imperialist sentiment in the region, that's for sure. And then Iran, they can lose their president, they can lose their foreign minister. They have a lot of officials in the Iranian state that are capable, because it's a country where a lot of people are very highly educated. The diplomacy is very good. It's a state. It's a state that can count on a lot of people, and so if they lose two key people, it's very a tragedy. But they can still go on with the politics that they are doing, and the politics that they are doing is reinforcing the axis of resistance in the region, and it will be it will go further. So I think that is the consequence for Occident, is that nobody will want to see imperialist country in the region even more after what happens.
One last question. The Ayatollah Khamenei in Iran just posted to asking people to keep praying for the safe return of the president. What can we expect, in your opinion, in the coming hours in Iran as the search and rescue operation continues?
I think that the people of Iran are expecting, are looking, they are waiting for news. It's a very religious country, so people will be uniting in prayer. I think it will be something that will unite the people. They will be hoping for him to be alive, and for the foreign minister also, and they will follow. They will follow what Khamenei says. So Ayatollah Khamenei says. So I think that it will be a moment of deep connection between the people of Iran. They have been knowing very tragic events since a few months. Lots of high officials have been killed from Iran, so it's a very resilient people, and they know that being a strong united country is the only good response that they can have. So I think that they will follow that path that they have been following for a long time, for decades actually.
Thank you, Ermelinda Malcotte, for your inputs here with us in our special program, and as we continue to follow how the situation unfolds. Thank you for the time.